वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू स्टूडेंट्स। सो कैसे हैं आप सब लोग गाइस? वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू सो स्टूडेंट्स we
All
are
of you
doing
students,
chapter 5.
so कैसे हैं आप सब
that
लोग
is
guys?
audit of financial statements, and in the first lecture we had done how to audit, how to verify trade receivables and cash equivalents in appearing in the financial statements, particularly in the context of companies. So students, I had requested you to go through Schedule 3 requirements so as to familiarize yourself and try to remember the requirements of Schedule 3, as this would help you in your accountancy classes also and here also. So students, were you able to go through Schedule 3? Yes, students, were you able to go through Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013? ये स्टूडेंट्स, क्या आप शेड्यूल 3 कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 देख पाए, कुछ उसमें से याद कर पाए? तो स्टूडेंट्स, अगर आप देख पाए हैं, अगर कुछ आपने रिमेंबर किया है या करना शुरू कर दिया है, इट इज वेरी गुड। और अगर नहीं किया तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप कर लें। So students, today we shall be taking up inventories and some other items. So inventory students. So inventory students also constitute a major item of financial statements. So what are inventories? Inventories, you know that these are current assets. These are classified as current assets. So inventories are assets which are held for sale in the ordinary course of business, or these are used in the process of production, or these are in the form of material to be consumed. Okay, so inventories are assets which are held for sale in the ordinary course of business. It means these are finished goods or traded goods. So held for sale in the ordinary course of business, that inventories are those items which are meant for sale. This feature is what distinguishes inventories from other items. Okay, or these are in the process of production for such sale, like these are being produced, these are in the process of production, work in process, or in the form of materials to be consumed, or these are raw materials or consumables which would be consumed to produce a final product, like in case of manufacturing entities. So basically students, three classification of inventories are raw material, work in process, finished goods. Okay, finished goods or traded goods. So in case of a manufacturing concern, we call it as a finished goods, and in case of a trading concern, in case of a trading entity, we call it as a traded goods, because in case of a trading concern, in case of a trading entity, these goods are purchased and sold, these are traded. Okay. So as per AS2, students, you have learnt AS2. Inventories are valued at cost or net realizable value, whichever is less. Cost or NRV, whichever is less. So what is the logic behind it, students? So obviously inventories are valued at cost or NRV, whichever is less. Now what is NRV? Market price, net realizable value. So ordinarily what happens is that net realizable value or market price is higher than the cost of the product. So that is why inventories are valued at cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower, to exclude any profit element being computed in the valuation of inventories. However, there can be a situation when net realizable value is lower than the cost itself, because of, say, uh, lack of demand of the product, or something, or some else reason. Okay. So this basis for valuation shall be applied consistently on year to year. So what method for valuation of inventories, that is cost or net realizable value, which has been followed by a company, this has to be followed by uh, a company consistently on year to year basis, and the company is required to disclose this in the financial statements, and any change in the accounting policy is required to be disclosed. If there is any change, it has to be disclosed. So remember that inventories, in accordance with accounting standard 2, these are to be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. The basic logic behind this is that no element of profit should go into the valuation of inventories. Okay. So then how an auditor is going to verify different assertions pertaining to inventories? So what is an inventory, students? Inventory is again an account balance. So which assertions apply? All the 4 assertions. So remember assertions, students. Which assertions apply to the account balances? These assertions are existence, completeness, rights and obligations, and valuation and allocation. These are the 4 assertions which apply in case of inventories. So the auditor would definitely try to test these assertions of management. Okay. So how he would verify existence assertion? So students, you have to remember that you have to clearly understand that physical verification of inventories is primary responsibility of management. This point has not to be lost sight of. You have to clearly understand that physical verification of inventories is primary responsibility of management. What the auditor does is he attends physical inventory count, and he sees the process which is being followed by the management in carrying out physical inventory count, and he also makes test count. So these all things we have written as a 501. So doing all these things, students, would help the auditor in testing existence assertion. So clear? So remember again, students, that primary duty for physical verification of inventories lies with the management of the company. It is not the job of the auditor. The auditor only attends physical inventory count carried out by the management. And by doing so, he inspects the inventories, he sees conditions of inventories, and when he attends test count, he gets a comfort, he gets an assurance regarding existence of inventories. Say the auditor has gone to attend the inventory count of a manufacturing company. Say it is, assume it is engaged in manufacturing of blankets. Then obviously when he would be going there, when he would be attending the physical inventory count, he would be inspecting the stocks of different types of yarns. He would be inspecting stocks of finished stock of blankets, or stock which is in the process of production, which is lying on the machines. So by doing so, he is getting assurance about the existence of those inventories, that these inventories exist. Clear, students? So what is the duty of auditor? Auditor's duty is to see the plan of management, see the program of management, how do they plan to physically verify the inventories, and he sees that that plan is properly laid out, and the persons of the company, the staff deployed by the company for verification of inventories understands those instructions, and they carry out that process properly. And the auditor's role is to see that these process is being carried out in accordance with the management's program, and he would perform certain test counts, and he would see existence and condition of inventories. Okay. So again, all those things, students, which you have studied in essay 501. But students, do not lose sight of this point, that primary responsibility of verification of inventories lies with the management. It is part of its internal control systems. So students, कई बार ऐसे होता है कि like as you have learnt essay 501, तो हमारे दिमाग में एक इंप्रेशन बन जाता है कि ये ड्यूटी ऑडिटर की है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. ऑडिटर की ड्यूटी उस चीज को रिव्यू करने की है और उस पे टेस्ट काउंट करने की है. तो ये इस पॉइंट को कभी भी आप आउट ऑफ साइट नहीं होना, इस पॉइंट को आपको हमेशा याद रखना है, अपने दिमाग में बिठाना है. यस स्टूडेंट्स, क्लियर? सो एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ इन्वेंटरीज. So all the general points, like you can see which are written here, that the auditor would stay alert, he would perform test check, he would see the working sheets of the persons who are performing test count. Okay, so also all these things. And another most important point is that auditor has to ensure that stock of any third parties are excluded. So this point, students, I have told you previously also that suppose in case of a company, some stock is lying with the company which belongs to third parties, then this stock has to be excluded. Say the company has received some goods for job work. Now the company is not sending the goods for job work, but the company has received some goods for job work. It is also conducting its sales, but it is also conducting job work activities. It is earning receipts from job work activities. So the stock which is sent by another company, which is sent by another third party, the company has to perform some operations on it and then send it back to the third party. So this type of stock, which although would be lying in the premises of the company, this is not property of the company. This is not asset of the company. This belongs to that company, to that organization which sent the stock for job work to our company. So this point, students, you have to remember. This point, students, you have to remember clearly. Yes. And second assertion is completeness. Second assertion is completeness. So again, that all inventories which were required to be recorded in financial statements of the company have been recorded. Okay, so this also means that only the inventories held by the entity have been recorded in the financial statements and do not include any inventories that belong to third parties. But does include inventories owned by the entity and lying with the third party. So students, you are getting this point. So if the company has received some stock for carrying out some operations, then this stock, these inventories do not belong to the company. These inventories belong to the party which sent these inventories to our company. However, in reverse case, when our company is sending some goods for job work to another third party, then stocks lying with those third parties, although these are not lying in the premises of the company, but these are lying with the third parties, so these would be counted as company's inventories. So this is an important point for you to remember, students, and always keep it in mind. This is an important point. So then only inventories would be complete. Say if I do not include the stocks which I have sent for job work to the third parties in my in valuation of my inventories, then obviously the value of inventories appearing in my financial statements is not complete. It is not complete. Why? Because that part of inventories which are lying with the third parties have not been recorded by me, whereas these should have been recorded, because because these inventories belong to me. These inventories belong to my company. So that is an important point to be taken care of, students. So how the auditor ensures this? So like students, he can perform analytical procedures, like he can compute inventory turnover ratio. He can see how much percentage is of inventories to total assets. So inventories are a form of total assets. So what are total assets and what is percentage of inventory to total assets, and compare it with the last year's. Similarly, in case of similarly, while performing analytical procedures, while calculating inventory turnover ratio, he also get to know that whether there is any unusual movement. Say, when he compares inventory turnover ratio of current year with previous years, he can know about that whether there are any significant deviations. So inventory turnover ratio, students, cost of goods sold upon average inventory. So inventory turnover ratio is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Say if the cost of goods sold is cost of producing goods, like opening stock plus purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock. Okay. So, or you can say sales minus gross profit. So cost of goods sold, say if the cost of goods sold of a company is say 50 lakhs and average inventory is say 5 lakhs. So the inventory turnover ratio comes to 10. So what does this denote, students? If I divide number of days in year by this ratio, so it comes to 36.5. It means that inventory is being rotated after every 36 months. That after every 36 days, sorry. So it shows that companies' goods are quite fast moving, that sales are happening at a quick pace. So that's a good thing. Or conversely, if inventory turnover ratio is low, then it may denote that a company is having some problems on the sales front, or there are some obsolete stocks lying with the company. So, but all these things have to be seen in the proper perspective. Now, what is the average inventory turnover ratio for the industry as a whole? It has to be compared with that, not in an isolated manner. Yes. Clear, guys? So you get the significance of inventory turnover ratio. So you get the significance and importance of inventory turnover ratio, students. So by doing such type of activities, by doing such type of things, the auditor may come to know about any misstatements as far as inventories are concerned. So the entity has valid legal ownership rights. So this assertion relates to rights and obligations. So obviously, guys, when inventory is appearing in the financial statements of the company, what does it mean? It means that company has a valid legal right over it. It has an ownership right over it. What is the definition of an asset? That an asset is controlled by an entity. So therefore, if 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 in financial statements of an entity, inventories of say rupees 50 lakhs are appearing, so it means that entity, that company has got valid legal rights over it. So how do we know that the company has valid legal rights? So obviously, simple, uh, in respect of say raw materials, you would see purchases. So purchases should be in the name of the company. So if the bill is in the name of the company, if the company has purchased those materials, so obviously it has got right over those materials. So these kind of things. So examine invoices for ownership, and for inventories held by third parties, the auditor should insist on obtaining declaration from the third parties and signed by authorized personnel stating that items of inventory belong to the entity and are held by the third parties. So again, the same point, students, if the inventories are lying with third parties, then the auditor would obtain a confirmation from that third party on his letterhead stating that they have received the goods on behalf of the company, and these goods belong to the company. Okay, and otherwise the auditor can also check the out records of the company, the say the copies of challans from by which the inventories have been dispatched to the third parties. The auditor can see in and out record कि कितना माल उसने कितने गुड्स भेजे थे थर्ड पार्टीज को जॉब वर्क के लिए और कितने वापिस आए, तो और कितने उसके पास पड़े रह गए. सो जितने उसके पास पड़े रह गए उसकी वो लेटर हेड पे उसकी कंफर्मेशन ले लेगा कि दीज गुड्स बिलोंग टू दिस कंपनी, ऑल्दो दीज आर लाइंग विद द जॉब वर्कर, these are held by a third party, but originally these goods belong to the company. Okay, yes guys, clear? So now we come to another assertion of inventories, that inventories should be valued properly as per generally accepted accounting principles and practices. Now students, starting में ही हमने पढ़ा था, we had understood that inventories are valued at cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. Include all the elements of cost which are required to be included. Okay, say when the auditor is verifying raw material and consumables, when the auditor is verifying raw material and consumables, then he makes sure that raw material cost includes not only basic purchase cost, it also includes freight cost, cost of bringing the raw material uh, uh, from the seller to the place of the company. So it also includes freight cost, or you can say carriage inward, or say any sort of duties which are not refundable, like say a company is importing some raw material from another organization, say located in some foreign country. So at the time of import of those items, obviously customs duty would need to be paid. Okay, import duty would need to have been paid at the custom station from which it is cleared. So these also go to form part of the cost of that raw material. It is an example of direct cost. It is not going to be refunded. So obviously it forms part of the cost of that raw material. Okay. So these things are to be checked. Test check cost prices used with the purchase invoices in the months prior to counting. And if the company is using standard costs, then see how standard costs are arrived at. So standard cost, students, you would be reading in your costing. Okay. And how whether these standard costs are comparable with actual costs, or if there are some variations, how these are analyzed. So these type of things. Follow-up valuation of all damaged inventories. So if the auditor has found some obsolete items, some damaged items during the inventory count process, then how these are being valued by the company in its financial statements. Whether the company has made some sort of provision for obsolescence, what is the basis of this provision? So all these things have to be verified by the auditor. So similarly, students, in case of work in progress, now for work in progress, the major concern for the auditor would be to see how the cost at which work in progress is valued is arrived at. Okay, so suppose work in progress might include inventories which are in different stages of production. So how the company values items in different stages of production? What elements of cost are included in different stages of production? Okay, how much labor expense is allocated? Or say how much different type of manufacturing expenses are allocated. So these things are seen by the auditor. These things are verified by the auditor while verifying work in progress. And similarly for finished goods and traded goods, how costs are calculated. So again, remember students that inventories are valued at cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. So obviously for valuing finished goods, you need to arrive at the cost of finished goods. So what is the method employed by the company to arrive at the cost of finished goods? Okay, so it would be a next step from arriving at cost of work in process. So obviously cost till work in process stage, till work in progress stage, it would be lower, whereas cost of finished goods would be higher, because now at the finished goods stage, the manufactured goods have become totally finished. These are now ready for sale. Okay, so these type of things, students. And again, obsolete items, damaged items. What are the damaged items in the finished good stocks? And what is the procedure employed by the company to make a provision for obsolete or damaged stocks? And disclosures. So these disclosure, students, are again in relation to Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. So Companies Act Schedule 3, students, it requires that inventories need to be classified into these heads. So it is mandatory. So whatever disclosure, students, are required to be made in accordance with Schedule 3 of Companies Act, these are compulsory, these are mandatory. There is no leeway available to the company not to disclose those things which are required to be disclosed as per requirements of Schedule 3. Okay, so inventory has to be classified as raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade. Stock in trade means, so what is the difference between finished goods and stock in trade? Stock in trade means the goods held for trading, whereas finished goods mean goods which have become finished because of manufacturing, because these have been converted as finished goods from raw material. Okay, stores and spares, loose tools and others. So inventories have to be classified into these heads as per Schedule 3. Okay, and if there are goods in transit in relation to any of these subheads, then these have to be disclosed separately. Say if there are some goods in transit pertaining to raw materials, then under raw material subhead, these have to be disclosed separately that these goods were in transit and these have not been received yet. Okay. And mode of valuations shall also be stated, how the inventories are valued at this is cost or net realizable value, whichever is less, this has to be stated. So wherever disclosure requirements are given, students, you have to learn these. That is why in the last lecture I had told you to remember Schedule 3. Unless until you remember Schedule 3, you would be losing out on many important points in this chapter. So students, जैसे अभी 2 दिन पहले एक दिन पहले ऑडिटिंग का पेपर हुआ है सीए इंटरमीडिएट का नवंबर 23 का, तो उसमें देयर इज ए डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन ऑन डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म बोरोइंग्स, of liabilities of short term borrowings. 4 mark question is there, that how short term borrowings are to be disclosed in accordance with the requirements of Schedule 3. So इस चैप्टर को करने के लिए स्टूडेंट्स शेड्यूल 3 की अंडरस्टैंडिंग और शेड्यूल 3 की डिस्क्लोजर और प्रेजेंटेशन रिक्वायरमेंट्स को याद करना एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट काम है. ओके Yes, students. So we have completed assertions pertaining to inventories. So अभी आपकी inventories के बारे में स्टूडेंट्स पहले क्वेरीज देख लेते हैं क्या है, what you are saying. Let's Srinivasan, you are asking for cash and cash equivalent. Why bank account restated in closing exchange rates? Yes, Srinivasan, closing exchange rate are to be applied only in respect of foreign currencies. If some foreign currencies are held by the company, then these have to be converted at the closing exchange rate, because this is required as per relevant accounting standard, as per AS 11. Okay. Yes, Suman Goel. Yes, you are saying that you have learned balance sheet format and disclosures. Well done, Sumanji. Yes, Himanshu, you are saying stale check means, sir. Stale check means which a check which has lost its validity period. Say if there is a check which is not presented within 3 months of its date, then it becomes stale check. Yes, Himanshu, is it clear to you? Yes, Ashok, you are saying that please circulate my phone number so that anybody from Jammu can contact me for pool studies. Okay. Yes, we have no hesitation in stating your number. So anybody who is from Jammu, he can contact Ashok, Mr. Ashok Kharyal, 94192 Yes. Yes, Gaurav, consumable items are also items of stock. These are included in raw material and consumables. Like in valuation also, just now, what we had done is raw material and consumables. So consumables are just like raw materials. Say, um, you can say some like say I am would take the example of say manufacturing of fabrics. A company is engaged in manufacturing of fabrics. Say yarn is its major raw material, and say the company also uses some kinds of chemicals and dyes. So this is why raw material and consumables. Okay. Yes, Tushar Rai, you are saying what is test check? Tushar, test check means verifying something on a sample basis, not every item. So, are you attending the class for the first time, Tushar? Please explain the term staying alert at all times. Yes, staying alert means he has to be cautious. He has to be cautious, and he has to remain alert that that staff of the company is carrying out physical verification in accordance with the program given by the management, and all the inventory items are being counted properly in accordance with the plan of the management. Cautious about empty boxes means that he has to test count and see whether there are some there are whether in the inventories there are some boxes which may be empty but which may be counted as part of inventories. There may be no inventories in it. Okay. Yes, Ankur Patel, physical. You have to remember, Ankur, that physical verification, physical count is responsibility of management. It is not that auditor always attends physical inventory count. So the management, as part of its internal control system, as part of its internal control procedures, it may have devised a system to physically verify inventories at regular intervals. Say it may have decided that we would physically verify inventories every quarter, after every 3 months. Okay. So it is not necessary for the auditor to be present there at every physical count. But at the end of the financial year, it is the duty of auditor to attend the physical inventory count in accordance with the requirements of SA 501. Okay. यस, ममता यादव आप कह रही हैं कि हिंदी में समझा दो कंप्लीटनेस वाला। कंप्लीटनेस जो है, पहले तो आप ममता इसको कंप्लीटनेस का मतलब समझिए। इन्वेंट्रीज कंप्लीटनेस का क्या मतलब है? कंप्लीटनेस का मतलब है कि जो इन्वेंट्रीज रिकॉर्ड होनी चाहिए थी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में, वो रिकॉर्ड हो गई हैं। दिस इज मीनिंग ऑफ कंप्लीटनेस। अगर कुछ उसमें से छूट गया तो वो कंप्लीट नहीं है। अब इसमें जो इन्वेंट्रीज, सपोज कंपनी ने कुछ माल किसी काम के लिए, हम एक शर्ट्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, उसने कुछ गुड्स जो है, कुछ शर्ट्स किसी जॉब वर्कर को दिए हुए हैं, किसी थर्ड पार्टी को दिए हुए हैं कि इस पे आप थोड़ी सी डिजाइनिंग कर दीजिए। अब वो स्टॉक्स किसका है? वो स्टॉक तो उस कंपनी का है, जॉब वर्कर का नहीं है। वो तो उसको सिर्फ कंपनी के बिहाफ पे होल्ड कर रहा है। तो वो जो स्टॉक है वो किसकी बुक्स में आएगा? वो उस कंपनी की बुक्स में आएगा, ना कि जॉब वर्कर के बुक्स में। लेकिन एज ऑन, मान लीजिए वो स्टॉक 31 मार्च को जॉब वर्कर के पास पड़ा हुआ है, कंपनी के प्रेमिसेस पे नहीं है। तो ऑडिटर को ये देखना है कि जो स्टॉक्स जॉब वर्कर के पास पड़ा है एज ऑन 31 मार्च, एज ऑन द कट ऑफ डेट, वो भी इन्वेंट्रीज की वैल्यू में इंक्लूडेड है जो बैलेंस शीट में आ रही है। इज दिस क्लियर? यस, इज दिस क्लियर टू यू? Yes, Mamta, is this clear to you? Yes, Smita, lying means inventories are lying with somebody. मतलब वहां पे पड़ी है, as simple as that. So Manish Kumar, vertical analysis of inventory. So सिर्फ मनीष कुमार, ये टेक्निकल टर्म है। वर्टिकल एनालिसिस मींस कि इन्वेंट्रीज मेरी 50 लाख की हैं और टोटल एसेट्स जो कंपनी में बैलेंस शीट में आ रही हैं उनका टोटल 5 करोड़ है। सो 50 lakhs डिवाइडेड बाय 5 करोड़ इनटू 100, दिस इज वर्टिकल एनालिसिस। ओके, यस। स्वाति कृष्णा, रीऑर्डर पीरियड। रीऑर्डर पीरियड मींस the period in which, the time period in which inventories are to be replenished. So this is the reorder period. कितना टाइम दोबारा ऑर्डर करने के लिए लगेगा? Yes, Suman Goel, in that example it is 36.5 days turnover. Yes, so हमने एग्जाम्पल किया था इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो का, तो उसमें इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो आया था हमारा 10। So 365 days divided by 10, it means 36 days. So उसका क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है स्टूडेंट्स? दिस शोज, इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो शोज दैट inventories are being moved in 36 days, that these are being moved in 36 days. 36 दिन में उसका पूरा स्टॉक एक बार रोटेट हो रहा है उस कंपनी का, और दोबारा से वो स्टॉक परचेज कर रहा है, और फिर 36 दिन में फिर वो सेल हो रहा है. सो दिस इज द मीनिंग. तो 36 दिन तो एक बहुत अच्छा सिग्निफिकेंस है कि कोई कंपनी, कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगर एक महीने के अंदर अपना पूरा स्टॉक रोटेट कर देती है, इसका मतलब उसकी सेल्स क्विक है, उसका मतलब है कि उसकी सेल्स फास्ट है. स्टॉक उसके पास ज्यादा टाइम नहीं रहता, उसमें ऑब्सोलीट स्टॉक होने के कम चांसेस हैं. ओके. Yes, Manish Kumar, you are saying business letterhead of client is compulsory or auditor can. No, Manish, बात जो हो रही है जो जॉब वर्कर के पास स्टॉक पड़ा है उसकी बात हो रही है. जॉब वर्कर ने कंफर्म करना है कि मेरे पास कितना स्टॉक पड़ा है. इसमें ऑडिटर के लेटरहेड का क्या मतलब है? What is the meaning of auditor letterhead? When some third party is confirming that these stocks belonging to company XY Limited are lying with him, he would confirm on his stationery, on his letterhead. ऑडिटर का लेटरहेड इसमें कहां से आ गया? Yes, Manish, again, can we say stock in trade is finished goods that is not manufactured by the company but purchased from other company to sell? Yes. Yes, Manish, you are right. Yes, Nancy, you are writing how to remember schedule 3. It's very long. Nancy, इसकी कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, ये आपको याद करना ही पड़ेगा. तो जैसे जैसे आपकी अकाउंटेंसी की अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ेगी, जैसे जैसे आप टर्म से फेमिलियर होंगे, वैसे वैसे आप उसको याद कर पाएंगे. सो इसका अगर नैन्सी, अगर आप याद करने का तरीका पूछ रहे हैं तो इसको मैं कहूंगा कि आप पूरा आपसे एकदम तो हो नहीं पाएगा. तो ऑब्वियसली आप जो है कोई आइटम्स उठा लें, जैसे आपने इन्वेंट्रीज देखी, ठीक है, तो आप इन्वेंट्रीज में देखें, इन्वेंट्रीज बैलेंस शीट में कहां पे हैं? पहले तो बैलेंस शीट का फॉर्मेट याद करें सबसे पहले शेड्यूल 3 में, कि हाउ इट इज. पहले लाइबिलिटीज हैं, लाइबिलिटीज में इक्विटी है, फिर नॉन करंट लाइबिलिटीज है, फिर करंट लाइबिलिटीज है. ऐसे ही एसेट्स में नॉन करंट एसेट्स हैं, फिर करंट एसेट्स हैं. तो ये पहले तो फॉर्मेट अपने दिमाग में बिठाएं कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट का. फिर उसमें देखें कि इन्वेंट्रीज हैं. अब इन्वेंट्रीज के बारे में डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है? इन्वेंट्रीज के बारे में डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट ये है कि इन्वेंट्रीज को ऐसे क्लासिफाई होना चाहिए, ठीक है. ऐसे ही आप डिफरेंट आइटम्स का जो है उसको बैलेंस शीट के साथ कोरिलेट करते हुए, जैसे एक दिन में आपने इन्वेंट्रीज का किया, से प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट का किया, से ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स का किया, तो ऐसे आप करेंगे पार्ट में, तो 2-3-4 दिन में आपका काम हो जाएगा. लेकिन आपको करना है, इसके बिना नहीं हो पाएगा. Yes, NRV. Yes, Anuradha, you are right. Yes, Faizan, you are saying how can we make disclosure in paper if direct question is asked about? Say, Faizan, say if this question is asked about how inventories, say the question comes in your paper, how inventories are to be disclosed in financial statements of company in accordance with requirements of Schedule 3 of Companies Act. So you have to write all these points from here to here. That inventories have to be classified under the following subheads: raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, loose tools, stores and spares, etc. And mode of valuation has to be stated. Whether goods in transit have been disclosed, then these have to be disclosed under each head. Yes. Avantika, what is mode of valuation? Mode means method of valuation. How inventories have been valued. Yes. Harish Chandra, you are saying how auditor verify valuation of inventory valued at either on cost or net realizable value. Yes. So obviously he would be linking net realizable value to the sale price with the sale invoices, and he would see that cost is that the when the inventories are valued at cost, these are lower than the sale prices. Yes, Swati, you are asking. Suppose in the exam question regarding completeness and rights of inventory is asked, then we have to answer all the points. First of all, Swati, remember, completeness and rights contains many points. So a question on both these assertions is not going to be asked, because it is usually of 3 marks or 4 marks. So only those points would be asked which justify the marks of the question being asked for. So obviously either you would be asked to write about completeness, or you would be asked to write about rights. So if you are asked about, say, completeness, then you can write any 4 points. If it is a 4 marker question, then you can write any 4 points. Yes. Yes, Suman Goel, you are saying remembering disclosures is difficult and can be done item by item and slowly. Yes, this is what I am telling you, students. आप जब शेड्यूल 3 खोलेंगे तो आप अगर सीधा स्ट्रेट अवे स्टूडेंट्स, इफ यू विल ट्राई टू लर्न दिस, यू विल नॉट बी सक्सेसफुल. सबसे पहले व्हेन यू ओपन शेड्यूल 3, जस्ट ट्राई टू रीड अबाउट इट, ट्राई टू गेट ए फील अबाउट इट. आप जो उसमें बैलेंस शीट का फॉर्मेट है, हाउ बैलेंस शीट ऑफ द कंपनी इज टू बी प्रेजेंटेड, फर्स्ट गो थ्रू इट. थोड़ा सा टाइम लगाएं उसमें, 15-20 मिनट, आधा घंटा, उसको देखें, डिफरेंट आइटम्स को अपने दिमाग में एस्टेब्लिश करें. देन यू गो बाय ऑल थिंग्स वन बाय वन. सो यू कैन टेक दोज थिंग्स which seem to be easier to you first. Say अगर if you are clear about inventories, say for inventories you know कि इस item की nature क्या है. Everybody knows what are inventories. You understand the meaning of inventories clearly. You have already read about inventories in AS2 in your accountancy classes. So you can go to the disclosure requirement of inventories. So try to remember those requirements. Try to remember requirements of those items first with which you are familiar with. So in this manner, by this method, you would probably in 2-3 days you would be in a position to learn about 5-6 major heads, 5-6 main items. Yes. Ashok Kharyal, you are saying how to calculate average inventory. Average inventory is nothing but Ashok Kharyal opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. That is average inventory. So now somebody would say why average inventory is taken, why not closing inventories is taken. So logic behind is that in some case of industries, there may be variation between opening inventories and closing inventories, substantial variations because of, say, demand of the product or because of, say, seasonality of the product. So therefore, this ratio makes an average metric. This ratio takes an average metric, that is opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2 to average out the figures, so that it is a better indicator. Yes. Yes, Nancy, again you are saying whatever you told about trade receivable, cash, inventory are to be remembered to the point. नैन्सी, आप जब इस चैप्टर को जब पढ़ेंगे तो इसमें कुछ बातें हैं जनरल, वो जनरल पॉइंट्स अपने दिमाग में रखें और डिस्क्लोजर की रिक्वायरमेंट को एज इट इज लर्न करें. ये इस चैप्टर को करने का तरीका है. देखिए जो जनरल पॉइंट्स हैं कि वो आप सारे तो याद नहीं रख सकते, लेकिन आप ये तो आपने दिमाग में एक पिक्चर बनाइए कि आप किसी कंपनी की इन्वेंट्री काउंट प्रोसेस अटेंड कर रहे हैं, तो आप क्या क्या चीजें देखेंगे, व्हाट यू वुड सी. सो व्हाट यू वुड थिंक लॉजिकली, वही चीजें आपको लिखनी है. से यू नीड टू रिमेंबर 3-4 main points under each head relating to each assertion. That would be sufficient. As far as disclosures are concerned, you have to remember as these are, because these are law points. So here there is no option. Disclosure तो आपको वैसे ही रिमेंबर करने हैं जैसे आपके शेड्यूल 3 और मॉड्यूल में दिए हुए हैं. There is no other option. लेकिन जो बाकी पॉइंट हैं, जो ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स के पॉइंट हैं, आप उसको लॉजिकली सोचें और उनको मॉड्यूल से कोरिलेट करें, वो ऑटोमेटिकली आपके माइंड में एस्टेब्लिश हो जाएंगे. क्लियर नैन्सी? यस, मनीष कुमार, अगेन यू आर आस्किंग व्हाट इज टैग्ड इन्वेंटरीज. टैग्ड इन्वेंटरीज मीन उस इन्वेंट्री को some tag has been put, it has been marked. मान लीजिए आप किसी स्टॉक्स की इन्वेंटरीज की काउंटिंग कर रहे हैं, तो जो बॉक्सेस काउंट हो गए हैं, सो ऑब्वियसली यू वुड से कि इनको साइड में रखो या कुछ मार्क लगा दो ताकि ये दोबारा काउंटिंग में ना आ जाए. सो दिस इज टैग्ड इन्वेंटरीज. तो सिंपल जनरल थिंग्स, लॉजिकल थिंग्स फ्रेंड्स. जनरल आप अपनी सोच से भी लिख सकते हैं, लेकिन सोच आपकी कब बनेगी? सोच आपकी तभी बनेगी जब आपने कुछ पढ़ा हुआ होगा. व्हेन यू हैव रेड समथिंग. सोच एक आइसोलेशन में, सोच आपकी खालीपन में सोच नहीं बनेगी. जब आपके पास कुछ मटेरियल होगा, आपने कुछ पढ़ा होगा, व्हेन यू हैव अंडरस्टूड समथिंग, तभी आप कुछ लिख पाएंगे. बिल्कुल आप खुद क्रिएट करके कुछ नहीं लिख पाएंगे. तो दैट इज वाई स्टूडेंट्स वी आर सेइंग कि आपको मॉड्यूल पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी है. एक एक लाइन स्टूडेंट्स, आप अगर 100 लाइंस पढ़ते हैं तो उसमें से अगर आप मान लिया आप 100 लाइंस का जनरल मटेरियल है, तो आप जनरल मटेरियल में अगर आप 20-25 लाइन भी रिटेन कर पाते हैं इंपॉर्टेंट, तो दैट इज गुड. लेकिन जो स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट्स है, जो लॉ रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, वो आपको सारी की सारी याद करनी है. सो दिस इज हाउ वन शुड लर्न ऑडिटिंग. दिस इज हाउ वन शुड प्रोसीड टू प्रिपेयर फॉर ऑडिटिंग. Okay, students. So now we come to another item, property, plant and equipment. Property, plant and equipment. So students, have you done AS 10? Yes, students. Is AS 10 over in your accountancy classes? Yes. AS 10, you are saying yes. Yes, Ankur, direct confirmation procedures for trade receivables, obviously these are done with the consent of the entity. Say why it is so? Because say the addresses, the proper addresses at which confirmation requests have to be sent, these are to be provided by the entity. So obviously consent is necessary. Otherwise, auditor may land up in sending confirmation requests at wrong addresses. It is for the proper facilitation of audit. It is also necessary that that auditor informs the company that he proposes to send confirmation requests to the trade receivables. However, if the company refuses to accept request of the auditor, then the auditor has to see other options which are there in SA 505. Okay, he would see whether the management's request is reasonable or not in certain circumstances. And if the management request is not reasonable, if the management's request is unfounded without any valid reasons, then the auditor has other options available with him regarding performing alternative audit procedures and even modifying his opinion. Yes. Yes, Ankur, is it clear to you? Okay. So Ashok, you are saying that you have not attended any class of group वन. Okay. So अशोक आप फिर ये समझ लें जिन भी स्टूडेंट्स ने ग्रुप वन की कोई क्लास अकाउंटेंसी की अटेंड नहीं की है, सो वो थोड़ा सा ज्यादा एफर्ट लगाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जहां जहां अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड की रेफरेंस आ रही है वहां पे ऑब्वियसली आपको उस अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड के बारे में कुछ पता होना चाहिए. सो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, जैसा कि स्टूडेंट्स वी नो, these accounting standards tell us about the accounting treatment of different items appearing in the financial statements. So one such accounting standard is accounting standard 10, which deals with property, plant and equipment. So क्या होते हैं students? What is property, plant and equipment? So all those items, students, like land, like buildings, like machinery, like say office equipment, like motor vehicles. So these all fall in category of property, plant and equipment. Yes, Suman, again, I must congratulate you. You are at intermediate level, but your level of understanding appears to be that of a CA final student. So even better than CA final student. Yes. So these are some of the examples of property, plant, and equipment. So what is a property, plant, and equipment? These are property, plant, and equipment is a tangible item. So all those items which are tangible. Tangible means having physical substance which can be touched, which are tangible. Okay. So these category of items, these items which are tangible items and which are held for use by an entity for production or supply of goods or services, or for certain administrative purposes or for rental purposes, and these are held for more than a period of 12 months. So these qualify for being categorized as property, plant, and equipment. Okay. So what are the distinguishing features of property, plant, and equipment? Number one, these are tangible items, physical items. These are tangible items. These are held by the company. Number two, these are held by the company, held for use in the production or supply of goods or services, or for administrative purposes, or for rental purposes. Number three, these are held for a period of more than 12 months. Okay, because this is the basic distinction between a current asset and a non-current asset. Okay. So current asset, students, by their very definition, if you read schedule 3, by their definition, these are expected to be realized in cash within a period of 12 months or within the operating cycle of a company. But PPE items, property, plant, and equipment, PPE items are different from current assets. Like inventory is a current asset. Why? Because it is expected to be converted into cash or cash equivalent within the operating cycle of the company. So inventories would be converted into trade receivables when the goods are sold, and then it is finally converted into cash when the payment comes. Okay, but this is not so with the property, plant, and equipment. So these are tangible assets, although inventories are also tangible assets, but these are obviously PPE items are held for a period of more than 12 months as per AS 10, Accounting Standard 10. Okay. Yes, Anuradha Jadhav, you are saying whether auditing paper is theory or practical. At intermediate level, it is a mixture of both. Anirudh, it is more theoretical and less application based. Say it is the ratio of theory is about say you can say 60 to 70%, and simple application based questions. Simple application based questions which test the knowledge of students at intermediate level. However, at final level, the auditing paper is totally application based, totally practical based. Yes. So when we recognize an cost of an item of PPE, so as per AS 10 students, cost of an item of PPE should be recognized as an asset only if it is probable that future economic benefits associated with the item will flow to the enterprise and the cost of item can be measured reliably. सो किसी भी हम पीपी आइटम की कॉस्ट को फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में तभी रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं अगर उससे कुछ फ्यूचर इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट कंपनी को मिलने वाला है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को मिलने वाला है, एंड इट कैन बी मेजर्ड प्रिसाइजली. Okay, and the cost of item can be measured precisely. It is possible to put a value on that cost. Okay, suppose जैसे मशीनरी है, like take the example of machinery. So obviously in case of machinery, the economic benefit is to accrue to the entity, is to accrue to the company in future years. It is not limited to 1 year alone, and its cost can also be measured precisely on the basis of say bill of machinery, on the basis of purchase bill of machinery. So these two things, these two factors should be there for recognizing cost of an item of PPE, property, plant and equipment. So future economic benefit भी होना चाहिए और उसकी cost precisely measure भी होनी चाहिए, तभी हम उसकी कॉस्ट को रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं एज पर AS 10, एज पर अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 10. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? सो जब भी स्टूडेंट्स कोई पीपी आइटम की कॉस्ट होती है तो उसमें कंपनी जो है दो चीजों को इवेल्युएट करती है कि उसमें इनिशियल उसको परचेज करने के लिए या कंस्ट्रक्ट करने के लिए क्या कॉस्ट आई और सब्सिक्वेंट उसको सर्विस करने के लिए क्या कॉस्ट है. तो नॉर्मली जो सर्विसिंग कॉस्ट है, दीज आर या जो उस चीज को रन करने की कॉस्ट है, इट इज चार्ज एज एन एक्सपेंस इन द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. और जो इनिशियल कॉस्ट है, जो उसको परचेज करने की कॉस्ट है और जो उसको या उसको कंस्ट्रक्ट करने की कॉस्ट है, से इन द केस ऑफ बिल्डिंग और इवन इन द केस ऑफ मशीनरी इफ इट इज सेल्फ फैब्रिकेटेड, so that cost is capitalized. So property equipment that qualifies for recognition as an asset should be measured at its cost. So जो भी प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट है, दैट इज मेजर्ड, दैट इज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड in the books of accounts and consequently in the financial statements of the company at its cost. Now cost में क्या क्या आना चाहिए स्टूडेंट्स? So this is all as per AS 10. So जिन लोगों ने अकाउंट्स की क्लासेस अटेंड की हैं, they already know these things. So it is again a repetition of AS 10. They already know all these things. So AS 10 में क्या है कि the cost of an item of property, plant and equipment comprises what? It comprises following items. Its purchase price, including import duties after deducting trade discounts and including non-refundable purchase taxes. Okay. So कोई भी आइटम है, से स्टूडेंट्स हम वी टॉक अबाउट मशीनरी, सो देन मशीनरी, कॉस्ट ऑफ मशीनरी इंक्लूड्स इट्स परचेज प्राइस एंड ड्यूटीज which go to form part of cost of that machinery, less any discount obviously. So clear students? जैसे कि मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया था कि एक कंपनी ने से import की मशीनरी से फ्रॉम it has imported machinery from China. So obviously some custom duty, some import duty would be paid when the machinery is received at the port of India, uh, and this duty, import duty, which is levied by the customs, this also forms part of the cost of that machine. It is not an expense to be charged in the profit and loss account. It is not an expense to be shown in the statement of profit and loss, but it goes to form part of the cost of that machinery. Okay. And second thing is any cost directly attributable to bringing the asset to the location. So इसका क्या मतलब है? Any cost, it means, say we take the example of machinery which is imported from China. Say the machinery comes at Mundra port in Gujarat. Okay, so for bringing that machinery from Mundra port to say the company's plant in Noida, say, then obviously freight would have been paid. So that freight cost, this freight cost also forms part of the cost of that machinery. It would be capitalized. It would be debited in the cost of that machinery. It would not be treated as a revenue expenditure. It would not be shown as uh, an expenditure in statement of profit and loss account. Okay. And the initial estimate of cost of dismantling, removing the item and restoring on the site on which it is located. So students, इसका सिंपली मतलब ये है, ये बड़ी मोटे मोटे वर्ड्स शब्दों में लिखा है, लेकिन सिंपली इसका मतलब ये है कि जब मशीनरी आपके पास से फैक्ट्री में आ रही है तो उसके लिए जो आप साइट प्रिपेयर करेंगे, जिस पे मशीन लगेगी, उसको आप प्रॉपर उसके लिए कंडीशंस बनाएंगे मशीनरी को लगाने के लिए, तो वो सब चीजें या उसकी जगह कोई और मशीन लगी हुई है उसको हटाएंगे, तो वो जो खर्चा है, वो जो एक्सपेंडिचर है, दैट इज ऑल्सो that also capitalized. It also goes to form part of cost of machinery. Okay. So these are elements of the cost. ये तो cost के उसके पार्ट हैं जो कि आपको कैपिटलाइज करने ही करने हैं. और कुछ एक्सपेंसेस जैसे डायरेक्टली एट्रीब्यूटेबल कॉस्ट हैं, मान लीजिए हैंडलिंग कॉस्ट, इंस्टॉलेशन कॉस्ट, या कोई आइटम मशीनरी की सेल्फ कंस्ट्रक्टेड है तो इंप्लॉइज को जो पेमेंट की है वेजेस उसको बनाने के लिए, वो वाली कॉस्ट. कॉस्ट ऑफ टेस्टिंग, जो मशीनरी को टेस्ट करने के लिए खर्चा है. दीज आर ऑल directly attributable costs which are capitalized, which form part of the cost of that item, cost of the item of PPE. However, certain costs are not parts of cost of item of PPE, like cost of introducing a new product, cost of advertising. Why these are not? Yes, students. Can you tell administration and general overhead costs, why these kind of costs are not form part of cost of an item of PPE. Why these are not? Why these are not included? Why these are not capitalized? ये स्टूडेंट्स बता सकते हैं आप क्या रीजन है कि कॉस्ट ऑफ इंट्रोड्यूसिंग ए न्यू प्रोडक्ट या कॉस्ट ऑफ एडवर्टाइजिंग ए न्यू प्रोडक्ट इट इज नॉट कैपिटलाइज्ड? Yes, students, because these are not tangible items. Although although some of, yes, these are of revenue nature, Rahul Sharma, you are right. These are not tangible items. These have been incurred. आपने एडवर्टाइजिंग पे पैसा खर्च कर दिया तो कर दिया, उससे कोई बेसिक डेफिनेशन क्या थी पीपीई आइटम की? दैट दीज आर टेंजिबल आइटम्स. These are tangible items. Yes. Yes, Swati, you are right. Yes, that is a diplomatic way of answering, but this is also proper way. So this type of answering is also helps you in the exams. So if you write that these are costs and these do not meet recognition criteria of asset, so obviously it is 100% correct. Yes. So now we come to students again testing various assertions pertaining to PPE items. Testing assertions of PPE items. सो वही एसर्शन स्टूडेंट्स जो कि हमने इन्वेंटरीज के केस में पढ़ी थी. सो व्हाट इज ए पीपी आइटम? इट इज ऑल्सो एन अकाउंट बैलेंस. इट इज अपीयरिंग इन balance sheet of the company. It is not appearing in the statement of profit and loss. So it is an account balance, and all the assertions pertaining to account balances applied to PPE items. So all those four assertions which we had done in case of inventories, like existence, rights and obligations, completeness, and valuation and allocation. So all these four things are these are the four things, but procedures are different. So students, अब आपने चैप्टर 4 में assertions पढ़ी थी, अब आप चैप्टर 5 में देख रहे हैं इनको. सो ऑब्वियसली अब आपको assertions का मतलब ज्यादा अच्छी तरह से समझ में आ रहा होगा. सो जब हम assertions कर रहे थे तो कई स्टूडेंट्स लिख रहे थे व्हाट आर assertions, ये क्या है assertions, आप बताएं इसको. तब भी स्टूडेंट्स मैंने आपको कहा था कि जैसे जैसे हम सिलेबस में आगे प्रोग्रेस करेंगे वैसे वैसे आपको क्लैरिटी होती जाएगी. और इसी तरह जो इस चैप्टर में नई टर्म्स हैं, कुछ टर्म्स आप अनफेमिलियर हैं जिनसे, वो जैसे जैसे आपका सिलेबस बढ़ेगा आगे आपको उसकी क्लैरिटी होती जाएगी. So to establish the existence of PPE, so how the auditor would establish the existence of PPE? What procedures he would employ? So आप जनरल बिना मॉड्यूल को देखें. सो स्टूडेंट्स आप प्रोसीजर्स लिखें कि एग्जिस्टेंस असर्शन को वेरीफाई करने के लिए पीपीई आइटम्स की ऑडिट, कौन से ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म कर सकता है. What kind of audit procedures can an auditor perform to verify existence assertion? आप जनरल मॉड्यूल में जो लिखा है उसको भूल जाएं. आप जनरल अपने दिमाग से सोचें फ्रॉम कॉमन सेंस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि क्या चीज लॉजिकल है कि मशीनरी है, कंपनी के बैलेंस शीट में मशीनरी आ रही है, यू वांट टू वेरीफाई दैट मशीनरी एग्जिस्ट्स, so what procedures you would perform, what procedures you would do? Yes, yes guys, any 1 2 3 procedures you can write. Yes, Ashok Khareyal and Rahul Sharma. What about others? Yes, students. Yes, yes, guys. You are right. You are saying physical verification, inspection. So this is one of the way of seeing that whether the machinery in fact physically exists. But what happens, students, when there are many plants of the company spread all over India? Okay, uh, then whether you need to verify each and every machinery. So therefore, students, you had to remember that like in case of inventories, in case of PPE items also, physical verification of PPE items is primary responsibility of management. So ये फंडा स्टूडेंट आपको दिमाग में रखना है. दिस फंडामेंटल पॉइंट आपको अपने माइंड में एस्टेब्लिश करना है कि फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन जो पीपी आइटम्स की है, it is the primary responsibility of the management of the company. It is again part of internal control system. It is again part of internal control procedures of the company. So then how auditor is going to test the existence assertions? So obviously the auditor would ask the company to show me the records that how you conducted the physical verification. Because management has to conduct the physical verification, it has to form a program, say that items are physically verified, say in a year or two, all major items are verified. If there are huge items, and if some discrepancies are observed, then these are also taken care of. So what would be the logical course for the auditor? He would ask the management to show me their plan, to show me the program, how you conducted the physical verification of your PPE items. He would review that plan, and he may also choose to physically attend some counting process, but it is not mandatory upon him. Okay, it would be sufficient if he reviews the plan of the management, he reviews the company management's plan of carrying out the physical verification. And if the management has conducted physical verification at reasonable intervals, then it's okay. He would be finding evidence, he would be finding proof that management has in fact conducted physical verification of PPE items at reasonable intervals. So he would call for reports, he would call for working sheets which show that these items were physically verified by the company management, by the staff of the company, at reasonable intervals. Okay. So again, the normal things he would see, that whether the procedures performed by him, whether the procedures performed by the management are proper, like all the logical things, whether the plan which the management has prepared, it requires that items which are being counted, a mark is put on it. जब फिजिकल आप पीपी आइटम्स काउंट करते हैं तो उस पर स्टिकर लगा देते हैं सपोज, या कोई मार्क लगा देते हैं, या आप उसको अपने फिक्स्ड एसेट रजिस्टर से कोरिलेट करने के लिए कोई नंबरिंग हुई है. सो इस टाइप का सिस्टम. सो ऑब्वियसली जब आप स्टूडेंट्स किसी कंपनी में जाते हैं, या किसी, अगर आपने गौर किया हो आप किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस में भी जाते हैं, तो उसके पीछे कोई भी कंप्यूटर होगा या कोई भी फर्नीचर होगा, तो उसके पीछे कुछ लिखा होगा, ये इस डिपार्टमेंट का है, नंबर 1, नंबर 2, दीज टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स, दैट दिस आइटम बिलोंग्स टू दिस सेक्शन. सो इन सब चीजों का क्या पर्पज है? इन सब चीजों का पर्पज है टू मेक proper identification, to make a clear and proper identification, and to help in physical counting, to help in physical verification whenever it takes place. So यही जनरल बात है, लेकिन जो बेसिक फंडामेंटल बात आपको दिमाग में रखनी है वो ये कि फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन पीपी आइटम्स का कंडक्ट करना, इट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ मैनेजमेंट. द ऑडिटर हैज टू रिव्यू द मैनेजमेंट प्लान. सो व्हेन द ऑडिटर रिव्यूज द मैनेजमेंट प्लान, तो जो लॉजिकल पॉइंट्स बनते हैं 2-3 वो आप अपने दिमाग में रखें, इतना ही पेपर में आपसे पूछा जाएगा और इससे ज्यादा आपको लिखना भी नहीं. 3-4 मार्क के क्वेश्चन में स्टूडेंट्स आप हाफ पैरा, एक पैरा, 2 पैरा, हाफ पेज, इसी का आंसर बनता है. इससे ज्यादा आंसर बनेगा भी नहीं आपका. ठीक है. ये स्टूडेंट्स, इज इट ओके? सो नेक्स्ट assertion is completeness. So completeness means that all the additions to PPE have been recorded. So कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कोई आइटम जो है it should have gone to PPE but actually it is recorded as an expense. गलत रिकॉर्ड हो गई, वो मिस स्टेटमेंट हो जाएगी. So completeness assertion के लिए the auditor has to see that additions to PPE during the period under audit have been recorded in the financial statements and do not include any PPE that belong to third parties, but does include PPE owned and controlled by the entity, although lying with the third party. So same thing as we had done in case of inventories. सो इन्वेंटरीज के बारे में भी हमने यही स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ा था कि वॉट एवर स्टॉक विच बिलोंग्स टू द एंटिटी, although it may be lying with the third party, it would be shown in the inventories of the entity. Similarly, any inventory which is although lying with the company, with the entity of which you are auditor, but it belongs to the third party, then it is not to be included. So similar is in case of PPE items. So students, like it may happen that say at the end of year the company has sent some of its machinery for say repair to some repairer. So now who is the owner of that machinery? The company is the owner. But as on as on balance sheet date, this machinery is not lying with the company. It is lying with some repairer. So, but value of it would appear in the financial statements of the company. Okay. So this is the meaning of completeness. So similarly, say, reverse example can also be there. Yes. So verify the movement in the PPE schedule. Basic arithmetical calculation. Opening balance of PP items plus addition minus deletion is equal to closing balance, and trace it to the financial statements. जो पिछले साल का ओपनिंग बैलेंस था प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट का, प्लस जो ऐड हुआ माइनस अगर कोई सेल हुआ, और बाकी का क्लोजिंग बैलेंस, वही आपका फाइनेंशियल, वही आपका बैलेंस शीट में बैलेंस आना चाहिए, और वो पीपीई शेड्यूल के साथ टैली होना चाहिए. उसकी अरिथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी आपको टैली करनी है. सिंपल थिंग, यू हैव जस्ट टू सी दैट इट इज अर्थमेटिकली प्रॉपर, और जो एडिशन सबट्रैक्शन करके जो फिगर आ रही है वो आपकी रिकंसाइल्ड है, वो टैलीड है. ओके. तो इसी तरह स्टूडेंट्स और भी इसमें चीजें हैं कंप्लीटनेस में. लाइक अगर कोई स्पेयर पार्ट है तो उसकी, अगर वो AS10 के रिकॉग्निशन क्राइटेरिया को मीट करता है, सो देन इट वुड बी treated as PP item. If it is a tangible asset, if its cost can be measured precisely, and if future economic benefits can flow to the enterprise, can flow to the entity, then it will be treated as an asset. Then it will form part of PPE. Otherwise, it will be shown under the head inventories. Okay. So again, normal watching points that you have to see the purchase invoice, you have to see the documentary evidence. So students, if you do not find words in the exam to write, say आपको proper, आपको नहीं पता कि मेरे को इसकी जगह परचेज इनवॉइस लिखना है, सेल इनवॉइस लिखना है, तो यू जस्ट सिंपली राइट ही वुड वेरीफाई डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंस. ही वुड वेरीफाई डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंस. वो भी एक जनरल बात है, लेकिन वो ठीक है. डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंस में सब कुछ ही आ जाता है. सो ये चीजें स्टूडेंट्स आप जब करेंगे, जब पूरा सब्जेक्ट, पूरा सिलेबस पढ़ लेंगे, तो ये चीजें ऑटोमेटिकली ही आपको आ जाएंगी करनी. ओके. और जो इस साल में एडिशन हुई है, वॉट एवर एडिशंस हैव बीन मेड इन दिस ईयर, वेदर दीज हैव बीन प्रॉपरली ऑथोराइज्ड और नॉट, वेदर all internal control process have been followed, whether tenders have been invited, whether quotations have been invited from competitor bidders for purchasing a item of PPE. So all these kind of things, these are general things. So then, and by verifying the purchase invoice, students, you also get to know that you also test the rights assertion. You also know that the company has a right over that PP item, over that property. Okay. So PP have been valued appropriately and as per generally accepted accounting policies and practices. Now valuation. Valuation of PPE items is very important, students. How valuation of PPE items is done? Yes. So, as per AS 10 students, it is recognized that value of PPE item decreases over time. This is known as affluction. जैसे जैसे टाइम पास होता है वैसे वैसे किसी भी पीपी आइटम की वैल्यू कम होती है एक्सेप्ट इन केस ऑफ लैंड. Therefore, depreciation is charged on all PPE items except in case of land, because land value does not decrease with the passage of time. Normally, it may increase, it may appreciate with the passage of time. Okay. So, therefore, depreciation is charged to show true profits, because if depreciation is not charged, then it would not, then the financial statements would not show the cost which is relating to this obsolescence. The value of a PP item which is decreasing with each passing month, with each passing day, that would not be properly reflected. So that is why depreciation is charged. Okay. So depreciation is charged as a cost in statement of profit and loss, and it is reduced from the gross amount of the PPE. Okay. So students, so depreciation is the systematic allocation. It is the systematic allocation of the depreciable amount. So what is depreciable amount? Depreciable amount, as you have read in the AS10, it is the cost less realizable value, which is to be spread over a number of years. So when we talk of each year, this becomes depreciation. Okay. So in case of company, students, depreciation has to be charged in accordance with the useful life of assets, which is there in Schedule 2 of Companies Act. ओके. तो शेड्यूल 2 ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट में जो है यूजफुल लाइफ बताई गई है डिफरेंट एसेट्स की, लाइक से फॉर बिल्डिंग्स, फॉर फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग्स, ओके, फॉर मशीनरी, फॉर certain specified machineries, for general machineries which have not been specified, it is stated to be probably 15 years. For motor vehicles, for furniture, it is 10 years. So these kind of things. So depreciation has to be calculated keeping in mind the useful life of an asset. So कितने साल वो एसेट चलेगी, मान लीजिए किसी एसेट की लाइफ 10 साल है, तो जो उसकी कॉस्ट है वो 10 साल में डिवाइड होगी. ओके. सो this is the concept of useful life, and depreciation in case of companies is charged in the manner as required in Schedule 2 of the Companies Act, where useful life of various assets are stated. तो उसमें ये वैल्यूएशन में ऑडिटर को देखना है कि डेप्रिसिएशन प्रॉपरली चार्ज है in accordance with the requirements of law, and what depreciation method has been used. Like you have read about straight line method and diminishing balance method. So in straight line method, the depreciation charge is same every year, but not in case of diminishing balance method, where depreciation is charged every year on written down value basis. So these type of things. And the auditor shall also verify whether management has done an impairment assessment to determine whether an item of PPE is impaired. So what is impairment, students? Impairment means, so this concept you would be reading in AS 28 if you have not still read. So impairment means, say, when the asset, when the carrying value of asset is more, but its recoverable amount is less. So it may happen due to some technological development, or due to nature of item, or because of the reason of rapid obsolescence. So these are the conditions which are there in AS 28. So obviously the auditor would see and he has to see that requirement of AS 28 are followed. So rights and obligations we have already covered, students. Like if you are verifying a machinery item, obviously you would be testing it from the purchase invoice. That purchase invoice is in the name of the company which you are auditing. So it gives you the comfort that company is the legal owner of that machinery. So it is that the company has a right, that the company has legal right over that machinery. Okay, similarly, say in case of building, if a building is constructed by the company, then all bills should be in the name of the company. Say in case of, if the company has purchased some land, then obviously you would be verifying title deeds of land, whether these are in the name of the entity. So because when the title deed is in the name of the entity, then the entity is having a legal right over it. So which we in normal language call as registry. Okay. So these things go that the company, that the entity is the legal owner, that it has a ownership right over that asset. And now we come to disclosures. Now what are the disclosures which are required to be made under Schedule 3 Division 1 of Companies Act under the head property, plant and equipment? Now these disclosures have to be remembered as these are. Okay, so how PP items are classified? So as per Schedule 3 Division 1, these are classified into land, buildings, plant and equipment, furniture and fixtures, vehicles, office equipment, and others. Residual category, others. And if there are some assets under lease which are capitalized, okay, so these shall also be disclosed separately. And if the assets have been revalued, say students, you have read in AS 10 that assets can be shown according to two approaches. One is cost model, one is revaluation model. So if a class of assets has been revalued, then you have to see its accounting treatment. And if change is 10% or more in the aggregate, then this shall also be disclosed separately. And remember, students, this revaluation has to be done by a registered valuer, under Companies Act, in accordance with the rules in this regard. Okay, so there are professionals who perform this type of job for revaluation, and they are registered valuers, and a proper classification has been prescribed under Companies Act 2013 for a person to act as a registered valuer. Okay. So besides this, certain additional points are to be disclosed. These are additional points to be disclosed as regulatory information. The title deeds of immovable property not held in the name of the company. That the company may have certain immovable properties in respect of which it is not having title deeds. Okay, so then the reason of not holding title deeds, why it is not holding title deed, that whether the property is in dispute. So this format is to be given if the company has title deeds of immovable property which are not held in the name of the company. Okay. And where the company has revalued its property, plant, and equipment, the company shall disclose whether the valuation is based on the valuation by a registered valuer. So again, this we were discussing. If the company has revalued its PP items, then it has to be disclosed that whether a valuation has been made by a registered valuer. And third disclosure is relating to capital work in progress. Now, if there is some asset which is under construction, okay, so this is shown as capital work in progress. So these are like projects in progress, and aging is to be given less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, more than 3 years. So this type of disclosure in respect of capital work in progress, and separately for capital work in progress which is overdue, which has exceeded its cost compared to its original plan, it has also to be given on the same lines. Okay, students, so we'll take a short break of 5 minutes and we'll come back after 5 minutes. So break for 5 minutes. यस, वेलकम बैक स्टूडेंट्स। सो आपकी क्वेरीज ले लेते हैं स्टूडेंट्स। पीपीई पे क्या क्वेरीज है? यस हिमांशु, यू आर सेइंग प्लीज क्लियर रिपेट्रिएशन अकाउंट रिलेटेड टू फॉरेन मनी। हिमांशु, शेड्यूल 3 की रिक्वायरमेंट यही है कि अगर कोई रिपेट्रिएशन रिस्ट्रिक्शन है उस अकाउंट पे, रिपेट्रिएशन मीन्स कोई पैसा बाहर भेजना है आपको आउट ऑफ इंडिया, सो रिपेट्रिएशन ऑफ मनी, अगर उस अकाउंट पे कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन है तो वो आपको डिस्क्लोज करनी है न, इसके अलावा और कुछ नहीं। अगर कोई रिपेट्रिएशन रिस्ट्रिक्शन है उसमें, विड्रॉल पे, उसके बाहर बेचने पे उस अकाउंट में, देन दिस हैज टू बी डिस्क्लोज्ड। यस, यस मनोहर यादव, यू आर सेइंग कैन वी सब्ट्रैक्ट ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक फ्रॉम कॉस्ट? Duty drawback, Manohar, duty drawback is a term which is used when the goods are sold, when the goods are say exported. So obviously, when you are purchasing some PPE item, you would not be receiving a duty drawback. It is received when some goods are exported. So what you are trying to say, your question itself is not proper. So duty drawback is granted by the government. It is granted by the customs when an item is exported on certain predetermined rates. So it has nothing to do with the cost of PPE item, because in that case, the item is being imported. So obviously the government provides, the customs gives drawback to promote exports. In case of import, no drawback is there. Yes, Suman Goel, you are right. Bringing asset to location, all inward freight, non-refundable taxes, and transit insurance. Yes. Devraj, you are saying assignment marks will add in the final examination. Which assignment marks you are saying, Devraj? Whether you are saying these assignment marks which I have uploaded, no, these have nothing to do with your marks in the final exam. You would be evaluated solely on the basis of what you write in your papers. The paper consists of two parts. As I have been telling you, one is MCQ and case study based, 30 marks, and descriptive type, 70 marks. Madhav, you are saying if we are taking for rent, then it is, say if you are talking about machinery taken on rent, then it is an example of an expenditure, lease rent. Although you are using the machinery, you will normally not recognize it unless it meets certain requirements of leases. Yes, Ankur Patel, if entity makes payment for purchase of PPE but delivery not received, it is still in possession of seller, then it will not be included. It would be shown in the books of the company as an advance for purchase of machinery. जब इनवॉइस ही नहीं आया और अभी मशीनरी सेलर के पास पड़ी हुई है, तो कंपनी ने तो सिर्फ एडवांस दी है, तो इट वुड बी शोन एज एन एडवांस. Yes, Madhav, I have already answered your question. you are holding a machine for rent for 3-4 months, you would show rent payment as an expenditure. Yes, Rahul, you are asking, Rahul Patel, you are asking me to explain procedures for valuation of WIP inventory. WIP इन्वेंट्री में राहुल जो आपको ध्यान देने वाली बात है, द पॉइंट्स यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ इज दैट व्हाट इज द प्रोसीजर ऑफ एलोकेटिंग कॉस्ट्स to the different stages of work in progress. Like Rahul, हम एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं एक शर्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी का. फैब्रिक उसका रॉ मटेरियल है और फाइनल प्रोडक्ट उसका शर्ट्स है. बीच में फैब्रिक टू द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग टिल द शर्ट इज मैन्युफैक्चर्ड इट रिमेन्स इन द प्रोसेस. तो एज एट ईयर एंड कुछ ना कुछ स्टॉक उसका हमेशा वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस में होगा, मशीन्स पे होगा, या हो सकता है कुछ जॉब वर्कर के पास गया हो स्टिचिंग के लिए या किसी और काम के लिए, या उसके इन हाउस कोई डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस में हो, कोई बटनिंग के लिए है, कोई सपोज सेक्शन वाइज कोई प्रेसिंग के लिए है. तो किस स्टेज पे, सो वर्क इन प्रोसेस कंपनी कैसे वैल्यू करेगी? रॉ मटेरियल प्लस ए परसेंटेज ऑफ ओवरहेड कॉस्ट. क्योंकि अगर अभी तक प्रोडक्ट्स पूरे फिनिश नहीं है, पार्टली फिनिश्ड है, दीज आर स्टिल वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, तो कंपनी एक सिस्टम बनाएगी कि इस सेक्शन तक जो मेरे ओवरहेड्स है उसका से 20% प्लस रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट यहां तक, और अगर कोई सब्सटेंशियली उससे आगे की स्टेज है तो रॉ मटेरियल प्लस 50% of direct overhead expenses. So these kind of things, how the company is allocating its different direct overhead expenses for valuation of work in progress, that is primary consideration for auditor while valuing work in progress. Yes, Rahul, is it clear? Yes, Santosh, you have joined just now at the end of lecture. Okay, so you can see the recorded version. Yes, Rahul, is the point clear to you? Yes, Rahul Patel. So now we come to intangible assets. It is in context of AS 26. It is in context of AS 26. So students, have you done AS 26? Yes, students, tell me, have you done AS 26 in your accountancy classes? Yes, guys, please let me know. Have you completed AS 26? Yes. So you are saying that you have done. So then obviously many of you would be familiar with the term intangible assets. Okay. So intangible assets is an identifiable non-monetary asset. As per AS 26, it is an identifiable non-monetary asset, and the another thing is that it is without physical substance. It has no physicality. It cannot be touched, like a patent, like a trademark, like a copyright, like a software. So these are all examples of intangible items. So intangible items like tangible items are also held for use in the production or supply of goods or services, or for rental to others, or for administrative purposes. So these are known as intangible assets. So there are three distinguishing characteristics of intangible assets. Number one, these are identifiable. This is the primary thing. These are identifiable non-monetary assets. These are not convertible into money. These are identifiable non-monetary assets. These should be non-monetary, not convertible into money, but these should be identified. Number two is that these should not be tangible, that these should not, these do not have any physicality. They do not have any physical substance. And number three is जो आपने पीपीई की डेफिनेशन का थर्ड पार्ट था वो सेम है, that these are held for use in production or supply of goods or services, or for use of administrative purposes, or for rental to others. So this is the definition of intangible assets. So examples are goodwill, copyrights, patents, trademarks, computer software. So all these are examples of intangible assets. Okay guys, so intangible assets में in intangible assets also it is necessary, students, that there is a flow of future economic benefits flowing to an enterprise. There is an expectation that there would be future economic benefits to the enterprise from that intangible asset. Okay, like if some company has developed a new product, it has developed a new process, okay, and it files a patent for it, and that product is patented. Now that company, that organization has a right over that product. Okay, so it is, if its cost can be measured, so then obviously it is an intangible asset because it has future economic benefit for the enterprise. Yes, Suman Goel, you are right. As I have told you, that definition of intangible asset, second part is similar to PPE. Okay, so if you practice, if you remember some things in auditing, if you try to remember some things in auditing, then obviously many derivatives, many deriving things would automatically follow. This I have been telling you right from the very beginning. Okay. So some intangible assets may be contained in the physical substance. So the cost of physical substance is usually not significant. Like किसी स्टूडेंट से एक CD पे, कॉम्पैक्ट डिस्क पे कोई सॉफ्टवेयर है, एंड सॉफ्टवेयर इज वेरी मच वैल्यूएबल. CD की कोई वैल्यू नहीं है, वैल्यू सॉफ्टवेयर की है. तो चेस कॉम्पैक्ट डिस्क पर वो सॉफ्टवेयर है. कॉम्पैक्ट डिस्क तो टेंजिबल है, यू कैन टच दैट कॉम्पैक्ट डिस्क, it has a physicality, but the software has no physicality, but even then it would be treated as an intangible asset. The point that software is on a compact disk, it is of not significance. The point is that it has software which is valuable. Okay, so it is commonly treated as part of intangible asset. Yes. In some cases, an asset may incorporate both intangible and tangible elements. Then, if it has got both such elements, then judgment is required to assess which element is predominant. Say, like in case of computer software, if computer software is integral part of the computer hardware, okay, then obviously it is treated as a fixed asset. It is treated as a PPE item. However, when software is a standalone thing, it is not part of the hardware, then it is called as an intangible asset. Then it is called an intangible asset. So these are the points in accordance with AS 26, which you have already done in your accounts classes. So again, all the four assertions pertaining to intangible assets. Now, all those four assertions, remember their names: existence, completeness, rights and obligations, and valuation. So how to establish existence of intangible assets? जो students, now a logical question would come to your mind कि एग्जिस्टेंस कैसे वेरीफाई हो सकती है इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स की? जो चीज इंटेंजिबल ही है, which is not physical, which has got no physicality, which I can't see. So, is existence assertion is applicable to intangible assets? Yes. Assertion relating to existence is applicable to intangible assets. For this, the auditor can do the following. Like, suppose if the company has classified some software as an intangible assets, then the auditor can see whether the whether the software is in use by the entity, or whether sale of related services has been made using that software. So this would indirectly establish that software exists. Okay, so these kind of things. So completeness means that all the intangible assets which should have been recorded as intangible assets have been recorded and nothing is left out. Nothing is left out. So उसमें क्या है स्टूडेंट्स? अगेन, जैसे पीपीई शेड्यूल है वैसे इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स का शेड्यूल है. उसमें आपको अर्थमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी देखनी है, ओपनिंग बैलेंस, एडिशन, डिलीशन, क्लोजिंग बैलेंस, और आपको देखना है कि कोई आइटम तो ऐसी नहीं थी जो कि एज इंटेंजिबल रिकॉग्नाइज करनी थी, और वो रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं हुई. ओके, सो दिस इज अगेन इन अकॉर्डेंस विद ES 26. और स्टूडेंट्स आपने इसमें ES 26 में यू हैव रेड, जब कोई आइटम कंपनी R&D एक्सपेंडिचर करती है, इफ द कंपनी इज मेकिंग R&D एक्सपेंडिचर, देन उसके दो कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं. देयर आर टू कंपोनेंट्स इन R&D एक्सपेंडिचर. वन इज रिसर्च कंपोनेंट एंड वन इज डेवलपमेंट कंपोनेंट. रिसर्च कंपोनेंट होता है कि जो बेसिक रिसर्च करने के लिए खर्च है, कि अभी मैं ऑप्शंस एक्सप्लोर कर रहा हूं, मैं स्टडी कर रहा हूं उस प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, उसके मेथड्स को बनाने के बारे में. तो दैट इज वन फेज, दैट इज रिसर्च फेज, एंड अनदर इज डेवलपमेंट फेज. सो जब जो रिसर्च फेज में जो एक्सपेंडिचर है, this is normally treated as an expense in the period in which it is occurred, whereas when the product has reached a development phase, when it is reasonably sure, when it is reasonably probable that future economic benefits are likely and its cost can be measured, then it is recognized as intangible. So you have to understand that research expenditure, the expenditure in the internal project of a company, which is spent purely on the research activities, is recognized as an expense in the period in which it is incurred, and no intangible asset is recognized. Yes. So again, students, intangible assets as per AS 26, these have to be properly valued. Like in case of PPE items, there is charge of depreciation. Similarly, in case of intangible asset, use the F. So we use the term amortization. So amortization, it is again decrease in the value of an intangible asset due to passage of time, due to use, due to obsolescence. So this is known as amortization. So the duties in case of intangible assets, like in case of PPE, are that entity has charged amortization on all intangible assets and amortization method used. And again, impairment analysis, like in case of PPE, where the say net carrying amount is more than the recoverable amount. So all those things which are similar to PPE, but only terminology is different. In case of PPE, we are using the term depreciation, and in case of intangible assets, we are using the term amortization. And many of the requirements are similar. So अगर आप PPE अच्छी तरह से कर लेंगे, AS 10 अच्छी तरह से कर लेंगे, तो AS 26 में से 70-80% आपका वैसे ही ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाएगा. ओके. So again, disclosure regarding the intangible assets. Schedule 3 requirements. Pertaining to intangible assets. Now these have to be remembered as these are. जैसे कि पीपीई में था कि डिस्क्लोजर पीपी आइटम्स कैसे क्लासीफाई होंगी, लैंड, बिल्डिंग, मशीनरी, ऑफिस इक्विपमेंट, मोटर व्हीकल्स। ऐसे ही इन्वेंटरीज में था कैसे क्लासीफाई होंगी, रॉ मटेरियल, वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, फिनिश्ड गुड्स, लूज टूल, स्पेयर पार्ट्स। इसी तरह इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स में क्लासिफिकेशन होगी, गुडविल, कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर, ट्रेडमार्क्स, पब्लिशिंग टाइटल्स, mast heads, mining rights, so like this. And all these requirements are similar. रिवैल्यूएशन की रिक्वायरमेंट्स भी और ये सब सिमिलर हैं जो कि पीपी में थी, सिमिलर टू पीपीई। एडिशनल रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स भी सिमिलर है जो पीपी में थी। 2 पॉइंट्स जो कि इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स अंडर डेवलपमेंट है उनका एजिंग शेड्यूल, और जो इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स अंडर डेवलपमेंट है लेकिन उनकी कंप्लीशन ओवरड्यू हो चुकी है तो उसका भी एजिंग शेड्यूल। तो ये आपको शेड्यूल 3 की रिक्वायरमेंट थी। सो दिस इज मोर और लेस ऑन सिमिलर लाइंस with AS10. Okay. Yes, Suman, you are writing that second part of PP and intangible asset is similar. Yes. Swati Krishna. Swati Krishna, you are saying internal auditor of company is very efficient in detecting and correcting material misstatements in financial statements of the company. This helps the company to avoid such type of auditor's knowledge. Now, Swati, first of all, tell me what are you doing? What do you do? Yes. Yes. Yes, Swati, tell me what do you do? Yes, are you a student or working somewhere? Yes, Swati Krishna. Yes, Swati Krishna, are you still in or you have logged out? Yes, Swati, come on. So this type of knowledge, you are asking whether it can be treated as intangible assets. Now, whether it can be measured, you first tell me whether it can be measured, whether it is possible to put a cost on it. So, yes, Swati, if you are a student, then it's very good. It's very good. So obviously this cannot be recognized because it is not possible to put a cost on it. Yes, and Himanshu, masthead means it is a title, like it's a publishing title. So some like what is the logo of some newspaper. So this may be recognized as an intangible asset because of its value. Okay. Yes, Rahul, you have written so many complimentary things. Thank you, Rahul. We are not worth it, but you have written so many complimentary things. Yes. Harsh Singh, you are saying that I conclude that same assertion can have different implication as per different items. Yes. Yes. So you have to see the context, guys. So तभी तो जब हम स्टार्टिंग में आपको assertion चैप्टर 3 में या चैप्टर 1 में बनाए थे तो काफी लोग स्टूडेंट्स लोग काफी आप लोग हल्ला मचाते थे कहीं कि हाँ भाई क्या है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा आपको आपको अच्छी तरह से एक्सप्लेन करना नहीं आता दीज एंड दैट थिंग्स सो दीज थिंग्स स्टूडेंट्स वी हैव बीन टेलिंग यू कि जैसे जैसे आपकी सब्जेक्ट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग पड़ेगी आपको खुद ब खुद समझ में आ जाएगा यस Anmol Patwa, what is cut-off testing? Cut-off testing means as on a cut-off date. So cut-off date is close of the year, 31st March. So as on that date. So cut-off testing mean as on that date, as at the close of the year, the auditor gains satisfaction relating to some procedure. Yes. Yes, Suman Goel, you are saying that internal auditor can't be controlled by entity in future as it. Yes, this can also be one of the reason. And it is not possible to put a reliable estimate of cost in respect of such items. So obviously, when you have to recognize something as a cost, so the basic funda is that you have to arrive at its measurement precisely. Only then you will be able to arrive at its cost. Okay. यस मनीष कुमार जो सपोज कोई आप कह रहे हैं मशीनरी में टेंजिबल और इंटेंजिबल दोनों है तो प्री डोमिनेंट चीज क्या है प्री डोमिनेंट चीज तो मशीनरी है जो दिख रही है आपको अब मशीनरी में कोई सॉफ्टवेयर लगा हुआ है जिससे मशीनरी चल रही है तो वो तो मशीनरी का पार्ट है सॉफ्टवेयर आपने फीड किया हुआ मशीनरी में उसमें कोई डिजाइन बन रहा है मान लीजिए उसमें कोई क्लॉथ बन रहा है और मशीनरी में सॉफ्टवेयर है उसकी वजह से वो डिजाइन बन रहा है ऑटोमेटिक पैटर्निक फीड किया हुआ है तो वो तो पूरा का पूरा मशीनरी का पार्ट है वो आप टेंजिबल एसेट है आपकी वो आप पीपीई में दिखाएंगे yes Manish is it clear to you yes Harsh Singh you are saying that topics are correlated between accounting auditing and company law that is why Harsh Singh मैंने आपको ये चैप्टर शुरू होने से पहले टुडे इज आई थिंक वेंसडे सो वो स्टार्टेड दिस चैप्टर ऑन मंडे तो इस चैप्टर को शुरू करने से पहले मैंने आपको एक चार्ट दिखाया था रिमेंबर दैट चार्ट मैंने आपको बताया था कि ये चैप्टर 4 पिलर्स पे बना है फर्स्ट पिलर इज जनरल प्रोविजंस ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 कुछ लॉ के प्रोविजन है सेकंड पिलर इज स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ शेड्यूल 3 की स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट है और थर्ड पिलर था बेसिक अकाउंटिंग नॉलेज और अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स की नॉलेज और फोर्थ पिलर था ऑडिटिंग पार्ट ऑडिटिंग प्रोसीजर्स इन तीनों चीजों को मिला के जो पहली 3 हमने बोली उसको ऑडिटिंग प्रोसीजर्स में कैसे अप्लाई करना है और क्या क्या जनरल बातें ऑडिटिंग प्रोसीजर्स के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है उन सब चीजों से मिला के ये चैप्टर बनता है सो अगर आपको पहले 3 कंपोनेंट नहीं पता तो आप ये चैप्टर कभी अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर सकते। जो बिना कुछ पढ़े इस चैप्टर को सीधा लोग क्रैम करना शुरू कर देंगे, रट्टा मारना शुरू कर देंगे, वो इस चैप्टर को कभी भी अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर सकते। दे वुड बी स्प्लिटिंग देयर हेयर्स ओनली, और कुछ नहीं, उनको कुछ नहीं हासिल होगा। सो जैसे ही स्टूडेंट्स आप कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 पूरा पढ़ लेंगे, शेड्यूल 3 कर लेंगे, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड कर लेंगे, इस चैप्टर का 80% मटेरियल वैसे ही हो जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली, और उसको सिर्फ आपको ऑडिटिंग प्रोसीजर्स के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में थोड़ा सा लिखना है, दैट्स ऑल। ओके, सो आई थिंक स्टूडेंट्स इट इज so over for today. So thank you guys, thank you so much for such a lovely and interactive session. Thank you so much.